Hi, I'm Karen Merritt-Grundy, Artistic and Executive Director of Missouri Contemporary Ballet, a nonprofit professional dance company based in Columbia, Missouri. Couch Ballet pulls from our video archives and highlights past performances and bodies of work during a time when our dancers can't perform. Couch Ballet is our community service project during COVID-19. We know that the arts unite communities. Therefore, it is our hope that this is one way we can gather our community together online. We love hearing from you, our fellow community members. Please leave your observations, compliments, and more in the comments section. On behalf of myself, the board of directors, and the dancers, from our couch to yours, enjoy.
Okay, couch ballet series for May or May Not. I'm Autumn Eckman, and I'm choreographer of May or May Not from back in 2012. Well, this was my first time that I choreographed on the company, and it was such an amazing experience because it was also a time where I worked with live music and a musical director, and Karen has put these wonderful collaborative performances together where we're working with musicians and getting to work with really interesting and dynamic scores. And so I also got to work with Tom Andes, and he had put together the tango piece, the Astor Piazzolla piece, and I remember at the time just listening to the music and just falling in love with it, and sort of matching the narrative to what later became, the story about May or May Not. And the experience of working with Missouri Contemporary Ballet is, I just remember from day one walking in to such an open-hearted and open-minded atmosphere, and that these dancers were ready to be challenged, and so therefore it challenged me to really push what I thought was possible as a choreographer at that time. And I think that's because of who I had in the room. So my experience of working with Missouri Contemporary Ballet was just so memorable, and I knew it was a time where I would come away with deeper connections to people, and that has remained true. I still remain close to so many of those company members, and obviously Karen throughout the years. So it was such a fortunate, awesome experience. It's about a relationship, and in this particular instance, it's told through the story of three separate couples, but they're really the same person. It's about all the various sides of a relationship, not necessarily in a time when things are good, but in a time when there are tensions and challenges, and things are drawing each other away, pulling them back together. And the question that emerges is, you may stay or you may go. Well, I definitely recall that it was a time of transition. I think I was, relationship could be broad terms, because it was a personal relationship that was coming to an end, that fueled a lot of emotion that I then poured into, my work and my art and dancing and choreographing. But also just a transition in relationships with people and family, and all the things that are affected when perhaps a relationship comes to an end. Some highlights. Okay, so I have some really key memories. One of them is the costumes. I remember Karen's mother, she designed and made the costumes, and I remember the first time I saw them. I had described, and we had done some sketches, and then she just nailed it, and I was just so thrilled to have that level of expertise and that idea come to fruition that just matched the piece so perfectly. So that's one. And then obviously working with the company and the dancers was a highlight, and that just goes for the whole entire experience. I was re-studying, the footage of this video of May or May Not, of the video of May or May Not this week, and I think the opening sequence just reminds me of how electric that group of movers were and are. and the company continues to be. And I just remember that there was this electricity and this magic that that sort of transformed the space in the rehearsal studio and obviously on stage. I think a lot of that is the highlight of having live music. I mean, that's just such an incredible gift. And I remember having this opportunity to create May or May Not with live music, with Tom and his ensemble of musicians, really lit the fire and the passion for me to continue working with composers on a regular basis. So, yeah. And perhaps the greatest highlight were the dancers themselves. Jason, Joel, Fernando, Janine, Carrie, and Elise. You know, they really made the piece come to life, and they were the story behind, you know, all the movement. So, you know, looking back, like I said, it's been so fun to revisit this video, the video that I have of May or May Not. And Carrie and Fernando, you had this, you brought to life this sense of a couple who perhaps one is trying to escape, and yet there's this sense of longing and this returning to each other again and again and again. Elise and Jason, you know, Elise had this sometimes frozen character, this dramatic, who speaks through her body to make her voice be heard. And Jason was always there to catch her when she falls, sometimes a little bit manipulative. So they were this this couple that's passionate about each other, but also sometimes a lot of misconnections, and this very evident sense of frustration. But in sometimes they made it, I don't want to say comical, but very relatable. And Janine and Joel, you know, this highly passionate and fiery couple that had a lot of passion for each other, but also, you know, in a lot of ways had maybe more passion for themselves. And so it was very rare where they actually really saw each other. And I'm not talking about them as people, but the character that emerged from them working together was completely believable. That you know, just by the way that somebody uses their focus or their eyesight, or chooses not to, was very evident in their duet. And as the character couple, when they were strong and together, it was dynamic and perfect. And when they weren't focused on each other, you know, it's that fragile foundation where things can fall apart. And so they all just everybody just brought these characters to life in such magical ways, and they weren't any fun to work with at all. I'm just kidding. They were so fun to work with, which is why I'm always hoping to come back and work with them. So, you know, I keep talking about highlights because I just keep thinking of more highlights. And of course, I couldn't sign off without saying that Karen has been such a highlight and a supporter and a visionary and an incredible leader, and just all around wonderful human and friend.